Hello friends, welcome to Play Question Wise. In this video lecture, we are going to discuss some interesting questions from the subject Current Affairs. So let's begin the session. Prime Minister Narendra Modi launched which scheme under the Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana? Options are A. Central Government Health Scheme, B. Sehat Scheme, C. Employee State Insurance Scheme, D. आम आदमी बीमा योजना. Answer to given question is option B, सेहत स्कीम. सेहत स्कीम. फ्रेंड्स, आयुष्मान भारत प्रधानमंत्री जन आरोग्य योजना जब पूरी तरह से इम्प्लीमेंट हो जाएगा तो गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया का कहना है कि ये स्कीम वर्ल्ड की लार्जेस्ट पब्लिक हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस स्कीम होगी. जो वीकर सेक्शंस ऑफ सोसाइटी है, उन्हें कोई बीमारी या मेडिकल प्रॉब्लम्स है तो गवर्नमेंट उसका पर ईयर 5 लाख तक का एक्सपेंस उठाएगी. इससे हॉस्पिटलाइजेशन में जो कैटास्ट्रॉफिक एक्सपेंडिचर होता है उससे गरीब आदमी बच पाएगा. एंड जो भी एंटाइटल्ड फैमिलीज है इस स्कीम के अंडर उन्हें क्वालिटी हेल्थ सर्विसेज मिलेंगी विदाउट फेसिंग एनी फाइनेंशियल हार्डशिप्स. फ्रेंड्स, प्राइम मिनिस्टर नरेंद्र मोदी launched the Sehat scheme under the Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. The main aim behind the scheme is to extend health insurance coverage to all residents of Jammu and Kashmir. Friends, Sehat stands for Social Endeavour for Health and Telemedicines. It is a health insurance scheme for the Union Territory. It provides free of cost insurance cover to all the residents of Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. It also provides financial cover up to rupees 5 lakhs per family on a floater basis to all residents of Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, and an operational extension of Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana to 15 lakh additional families approximately. So friends, these are few points about the Sehat scheme under Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. Now let's take the next question. Consider the following statements regarding avian influenza or bird flu. First, it is a highly contagious viral disease caused by influenza type A virus. B. Avian influenza does not affect the egg production in poultry birds. Third, bird flu can be spread through their droppings while flying. Which of the above statements are correct? Options are A. 1 only, B. 1 and 2, C. 1 and 3, D. 1, 2 and 3. Answer to the given question is option C, 1 and 3. Avian influenza. Friends, avian influenza is a highly contagious viral disease caused by influenza type A virus, which generally affects poultry birds such as chickens and turkeys. There are many strains of the viruses. Some of them are mild and may merely cause a low egg production or other mild symptoms among chicken, while others are severe and lethal. फ्रेंड्स, वाइल्ड एक्वेटिक बर्ड्स जैसे डक्स एंड गीज तो नेचुरल रिजर्वायर है इन्फ्लुएंजा ए वायरस का, एंड द सेंट्रल प्लेयर्स इन द इकोलॉजी ऑफ दिस वायरसेस. कितने सारे बर्ड्स विदाउट देमसेल्व्स गेटिंग अफेक्टेड ऑफ एनी सिकनेस ये वायरस कैरी करते हैं, घूमते हैं यहाँ वहां और उड़ते टाइम कहीं भी ड्रॉप करके स्प्रेड कर देते हैं ये वायरस. फ्रेंड्स, since birds excrete even when flying, they provide a nice aerosol of influenza virus, shedding it all over the world. An aerosol is a suspension of fine solid particles or liquid droplets in an air or another gas. So ये birds जो excrete करता है while flying, उससे एक aerosol type form होता है atmosphere में. But friends, in India, no case of bird flu in humans has been detected so far. according to the Union Health Ministry. अगर बर्ड फ्लू हो जाए तो 30 to 40% केसेस में डेथ भी हुई है, बट जनरली ये वायरस ह्यूमन में स्प्रेड नहीं होता है उतना इजीली. So friends, this is about avian influenza. Now let's see the next question. Union HRD Minister Ramesh Pokhriyal laid foundation stone of Tihan IIT virtually in which city? Options are A. Hyderabad, B. Madras, C. Kharagpur, D. Guwahati. Answer to the given question is option A. Hyderabad. Tihan. Friends, Union Minister of Education Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank has virtually laid the foundation stone of Tihan IIT Hyderabad, which is India's first test bed for autonomous navigation system, terrestrial and aerial both, at IIT Hyderabad. Friends, Tihan stands for the Technology Innovation Hub on Autonomous Navigation System, which is for unmanned aerial vehicle and remotely operated vehicles at IIT Hyderabad. The Department of Science and Technology, Government of India, has sanctioned rupees 135 crores to IIT Hyderabad under the National Mission on Interdisciplinary Cyber Physical System to set up a technology innovation hub on autonomous navigation and data acquisition systems. Friends, 2 acres land already allot हो चुका है IIT हैदराबाद कैंपस को and different planned phases में project execute हो रहा है. So friends, this is about Tihan. Now let's see the next question. How many important committees of United Nations Security Council India has been asked to chair during its tenure as a non-permanent member of the powerful 15-nation UN body? Options are A4, B3, C5, D2. Answer to the given question is option B, 3. India in UN Security Council. Friends, the permanent representative of India to the United Nations, T.S. Trimurti ने कहा है कि इंडिया को अपॉर्चुनिटी मिली है टू चेयर 3 important committees of the United Nations Security Council during its tenure as a non-permanent member of the powerful 15-nation UN body. Friends, these 3 highly significant committees include: first, the Taliban Sanction Committee; second, Counter-Terrorism Committee; and thirdly, Libyan Sanctions Committee. Among these committees, India will chair the Counter-Terrorism Committee of the UN Security Council in 2022, which coincides with the 75th anniversary of India's independence. Friends, India began its 2-year term at the United Nations Security Council from 1st January 2021, and it is the 8th time that the country has joined the UN Security Council as the non-permanent member. In 2021, along with India, Norway, Kenya, Ireland, and Mexico joined the non-permanent members in the council. So friends, this is about India in its eighth term as non-permanent UN Security Council member to chair these committees. Now let's see the next question. Consider the following statements. First, commercial crops are not covered under minimum support price. Second, if MSP is made legally binding, no crop can be purchased below the MSP by the private buyers. Third, the marketed surplus for all the crops covered under MSP is more than 50%. Which of the above statements are correct? Options are A, 1 and 2, B, 1 and 3, C, 2 only, D, 2 and 3. Answer to the given question is option C, 2 only. Minimum support price. Friends, everyone knows about the ongoing Farm Bill protest. One of the key points being raised here is about minimum support price and how to make it binding on buyers of the farm produce so that किसान भी financially secure feel कर सके. So friends, question here is, how can MSP be made legally binding? There are two ways it can be done. The first is to force private buyers to pay it. In this case, no crop can be purchased below the minimum support price, which would also act as the floor price for bidding in mandi auctions. और दूसरा सोल्यूशन है कि गवर्नमेंट खुद ही सारे का सारा फार्म प्रोड्यूस फार्मर से फर्स्ट हैंड खरीद ले एमएसपी पर. Friends, currently MSP for 23 crops is recommended by CACP, which comprises 7 cereals like paddy, wheat, maize, sorghum, millet, pearl, barley and ragi. 5 pulses like gram, tur, moong, urad, lentil, and 7 oil seeds, which are groundnut, rapeseed, mustard, soybean, sesame, sunflower, safflower, niger seed, and 4 commercial crops like copra, sugarcane, cotton, and raw jute. Friends, the marketed surplus ratio for different crops is estimated to range from below 50 degree for ragi and 65 to 70 degree for bajra, and for jowar to 75% for wheat, 80% for paddy, 85% for sugarcane, 90% for most pulses, and 95% plus for cotton, jute, soybean, and sunflower. So friends, these are few points about minimum support price. Now let's see the next question. Niti Aayog releases India Innovation Index 2.0. According to it, 2 performance parameters are, options are A, human capital and business environment, B, knowledge workers and legal environment, C, knowledge output and knowledge diffusion, D, knowledge output and knowledge workers. Answer to given question is option C, knowledge output and knowledge diffusion. India Innovation Index. Niti Aayog released the second edition of India Innovation Index on 20th of January 2021 along with the Institute for Competitiveness. India Innovation Index 2.0 or second edition was released by Niti Aayog Vice Chairman Rajiv Kumar. The Innovation Index ranking is based on 5 enabler parameters, which are human capital, investment, knowledge workers, business environment, and safety and legal environment. And friends, the 2 performance parameters which has been asked in this question are, first, the knowledge output, and second, the knowledge diffusion. In India Innovation Index 2020, the states and union territories have been divided into the 17 major states, 9 city states and union territories, and 10 northeast and hill states. So friends, this is about India Innovation Index. Let's see the next question now. Which ministry virtually launches Sharm Shakti portal? Options are A, Tribal Affairs Minister, B, Labour Minister, C, Ministry of Minority Affairs, D, HRD Ministry. Answer to the given question is option A, Tribal Affairs Minister. Sharm Shakti portal. Friends, the Ministry of Tribal Affairs on 22nd January 2021 launched the Sharm Shakti portal to collect data related to the tribal migrant worker and will also link them to the existing welfare schemes. The Tribal Affairs Minister Arjun Munda, while virtually launching the digital portal Sharm Shakti, stated that the lack of real-time data on the migrants has been the biggest challenge faced by the center and state governments. Friends, the Sharm Shakti digital portal will be successfully able to address the data gap and also empower the migrant worker who generally move in search of income generation and employment. The data collected through the Sharm Shakti portal will include the livelihood options, demographic profile, migration pattern, and skill mapping. So friends, this is about Sharm Shakti portal. Now let's see the next question. The term Roaring Twenties refers to, options are A, strong westerly winds found in 10 to 20 degree latitude, B, period of economic prosperity in the United States and Europe, C, severe thunderstorms during 1920s, D, economic recession in Asian countries during 1920s. Answer to given question is option B, period of economic prosperity in the United States and Europe. Roaring Twenties. Friends, post-pandemic, the global economy could spiral into two extreme ways. The more probable scenario was resembling the Great Depression, and the other way that seemed to be was a rather slim chance of a repeat of the post-World War I Roaring Twenties in the US. The Niti Aayog told this to the Parliamentary Standing Committee. Friends, the question here is, what is Roaring Twenties? The Roaring Twenties refers to the decade of 1920s in Western society and Western culture. Friends, Roaring Twenty was a period of economic prosperity with a distinctive cultural edge in the United States and Europe. On the current positive sentiment and momentum in global markets, the panel is learned to have told the MPs that sustainability is not as much of the question as when it will end. And Niti Aayog also said to the possibility of post-pandemic global economy of showing a roar 20s like trend. So friends, this is about Roaring Twenties. Now let's see the next question. Consider the following statements regarding bound rates or bound tariffs. First, bound rate is the maximum rate of duty that can be imposed by the importing country on an imported commodity. Second, bound rate agreed for any commodity at World Trade Organization is same for all the members of the World Trade Organization. Which of the above statement are correct? Options are A, 1 only, B, 2 only, C, neither 1 nor 2, D, both 1 and 2. Answer to the given question is option A, 1 only. Bound rate. Friends, bound rate is the maximum rate of duty or tariff that can be imposed by the importing country on an imported commodity. Here each country commits itself to a ceiling on custom duties, tariffs on a certain number of products. Friends, these rates vary from country to country and commodity to commodity. But no country can raise duties above the bound rate, which it has committed, and the rate of custom duties actually applied may be lower than the bound rates. Trade experts said India could be opening another front of renegotiation with member countries on IT products, including smartphones, on which it has hiked duties. And this is believed by many countries to be in violation of the IT agreement that India had signed in 1996, under which tariffs on such products need to be kept at zero. However, others may not agree to India's renegotiation offer, though the issue can be dragged on for a few more years, one trade expert said under the condition of anonymity. So friends, this is about the bound rate. Now let's see the next question. A share repurchase or buyback is a decision by a company to purchase its own stock from the market. Such a move may lead to options are: first, it reduces the number of outstanding shares of the company. Second, it tends to increase the price of remaining shares. Third, it is often undertaken when the company's shares are undervalued. Select the correct answers code. Options are A, 1 and 2, B, 1 and 3, C, 2 and 3, D, 1, 2 and 3. Answer to given question is option D, 1, 2 and 3. Repurchase or buyback. Friends, a share repurchase or buyback is a decision by a company to purchase its own stock from the market. Such a move reduces the number of outstanding shares of the company and tends to push up their price. Friends, repurchase or buyback is often undertaken when management considers the company's shares are undervalued. It is also a key way to transfer surplus earnings to shareholders, and this tends to lead to an increase in the share price. Friends, the question here is how will this benefit the government? See, the government holds 52.1% stake in GAIL. In a recent share repurchase offer by NTPC, the Government of India sold shares worth rupees 1066 crore back to the company, accounting for around 47% of the shares accepted under the repurchase offer. The government also received rupees 1377 crore from a share buyback offered by NMDC, taking up over 99% of buyback offer. So friends, the government, being the largest shareholder in these companies, will benefit from the transactions by tendering the equity in holds in return for cash. और ऐसे गवर्नमेंट का अपना शाही खजाना बढ़ता रहता है जब वो अपने शेयर्स बेचती है. And this is how the government benefits, by repurchase or buyback of shares. So friends, these are few points about repurchase or buyback. So thanks for watching this video, friends. Friends, if you feel the video is informative, then hit the like, share and subscribe.